Victoria Ashworth sat in the private dining room on the top floor of the Ashworth Grand Hotel. The room was beautiful. Everything in it cost more money than most people made in a year. The chairs were covered in soft red leather. The table was made from dark wood that shined like glass. Crystal glasses sat in front of each person, catching the light from the huge chandelier above their heads. But Victoria felt like she could not breathe. She was 28 years old. She had long, dark hair that fell past her shoulders. Her blue eyes looked tired even though she wore expensive makeup. She wore a gray business suit that cost $3,000. On her wrist was a diamond bracelet that her father gave her on her last birthday. It was heavy. Sometimes she felt like the bracelet was a chain. Around the table sat 12 people. They were all men except for Victoria and one other woman. They were investors. They owned small parts of the Ashworth hotel chain. They came 4 times a year to talk about money and business. Victoria had to sit through these meetings. Her father said it was her duty. Her father, Richard Ashworth, stood at the head of the table. He was 55 years old with gray hair and cold brown eyes. He wore a suit that probably cost more than Victoria's. He was talking about opening 3 new hotels next year, one in Tokyo, one in London, one in Dubai. The profit margin in Asia is exceptional, her father said. His voice was loud and confident. We project a 15% increase in revenue over the next 18 months. The men around the table nodded. They smiled. They asked questions about numbers and percentages. Victoria stopped listening. She had heard this same speech 100 times before. Her father always talked about money, about expansion, about making the Ashworth name bigger and bigger. Victoria looked out the window. The city spread out below them. Tiny cars moved through the streets. Tiny people walked on the sidewalks. From up here, everything looked small and far away. Sometimes Victoria felt small and far away too, even though she was right here in this room. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out and looked at the screen under the table where her father could not see. It was a message from her assistant, Caroline. Reminder: charity gala planning meeting at 4 p.m. Your mother called 3 times. The reporter from Business Weekly still wants an interview. Victoria put the phone away. Her life was full of meetings and phone calls and interviews. Everyone wanted something from her. Everyone expected her to smile and be perfect and represent the Ashworth family name. Victoria, what do you think? Her father's voice cut through her thoughts. She looked up. Everyone at the table was staring at her. I'm sorry, she said. Her father's eyes got hard. I asked if you reviewed the proposal for the Dubai property. Yes, Victoria said quickly. She had reviewed it, last night at 11 o'clock after 3 other meetings. The location is good. The projected costs seem reasonable. Her father nodded, but she could see he was not happy. He did not like it when she did not pay attention. After the meeting, he would probably say something to her about staying focused. We'll take a 20-minute break, her father announced. Then we'll discuss the marketing strategy. Everyone stood up. The men walked over to the bar on the side of the room. They poured drinks and laughed about something. Victoria did not want to talk to them. She did not want to stand there and smile and pretend to care about hotels and profit margins. She walked out of the private dining room. Her high heels clicked on the marble floor. The hallway was quiet. Expensive paintings hung on the walls. Everything in the Ashworth Grand Hotel was expensive and beautiful and cold. Victoria did not know where she was going. She just walked. She needed to move. She needed to be somewhere else. Even if it was just a different hallway in the same building. She heard music. It was faint at first, just a few notes floating through the air. But it made her stop walking. She turned her head, trying to figure out where the sound came from. The music got louder. It was a violin. Someone was playing a violin somewhere in the hotel. Victoria followed the sound. She walked down a different hallway, then down a flight of stairs. The music got clearer. It was beautiful. It made something in her chest feel tight. She knew this music. She recognized the piece. It was Zigeunerweisen by Sarah Sadie. A difficult piece. A piece that required real skill to play properly. Victoria pushed open a door and found herself in the main restaurant of the hotel. It was the lunch hour. Most of the tables were full. Business people ate salads and steaks. Tourists looked at their phones. Waiters moved between the tables carrying trays. But everyone had stopped what they were doing. They were all looking at the small stage at the front of the restaurant. On the stage stood a young woman. She wore the black pants and white shirt that was the uniform for the waitstaff at the Ashworth Grand. Her long black hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She was not tall, maybe 5 feet 4 inches. She looked tired. There were dark circles under her eyes. Her uniform shirt was wrinkled, like she had been working for hours. But she held a violin like it was the most precious thing in the world, and she played like an angel. Victoria stood frozen in the doorway. She could not move. She could not breathe. The music washed over her like a wave. The young woman's eyes were closed. Her whole body moved with the music. The violin sang. It cried. It laughed. It told a story without words. Victoria felt tears in her eyes. She did not know why. She had not cried in years. Her father said crying was weak. Ashworths did not cry, but this music made her want to cry. Some of the wealthy guests in the restaurant were not impressed. Victoria saw 2 women at a nearby table whispering to each other. One of them laughed quietly. A man in an expensive suit shook his head and went back to eating his lunch. "How quaint," a woman's voice said behind Victoria. "I suppose the hotel is trying to add some local color." The words were meant to be insulting, like the young woman playing was just entertainment, something to look at while you ate your expensive lunch. Not a real musician, just a waitress who happened to know how to hold a violin, but Victoria knew better. She had studied music for years. She knew real talent when she heard it. And this young woman had real talent. The piece ended. The final note hung in the air for a moment, then faded away. There was silence. Then some people clapped. Not everyone. Some people just went back to their food like nothing special had happened. The young woman opened her eyes. She looked embarrassed. She quickly put the violin down on a chair and picked up a tray from a nearby table. She was going back to work. Like playing that beautiful music was just something she did during her break before carrying food to rich people who did not appreciate what they had just heard. Victoria's feet moved before her brain told them to. She walked across the restaurant. People noticed her. They always noticed her. She was Victoria Ashworth. Her family owned this hotel. Everyone who worked here knew her face. The young woman saw her coming. Her eyes got wide. She looked scared. "I'm sorry, Miss Ashworth," the young woman said quickly. "I know I should not have played during work hours. It won't happen again. I was just on my break and I—" "That was Sarasate," Victoria interrupted. Her voice came out quieter than she meant it to. "Sigurnerweisen. Where did you learn to play like that?" The young woman blinked. She had not expected that question. She looked down at the tray in her hands. I taught myself mostly," she said. "And I took some lessons at the community center when I was younger." "Who taught you at the community center?" Victoria asked. "Different people. Volunteer teachers. They came once a week." The young woman paused. She looked at Victoria with confused eyes. "Why do you want to know?" Victoria did not know how to answer that question. Why did she want to know? Why did she care? She had not thought about music in years. She had locked that part of her life away in a box and thrown away the key. But hearing this young woman play had opened something inside her, something she thought was dead. "What's your name?" Victoria asked. "Maya Chen." The young woman shifted the tray in her hands. She looked nervous. "Miss Ashworth, I really need to get back to work. My manager will—" "How long have you worked here?" Victoria interrupted again. 8 months. "And you play violin on your breaks?" Maya's face turned red. "Not usually. Today I needed to play. Just for a few minutes. I didn't think anyone would mind." The stage was empty and— "I want to talk to you," Victoria said. The words came out fast, urgent. "After your shift. Can you meet me?" Maya stared at her. "Meet you? Why?" Victoria opened her mouth to answer, but she did not know what to say. She did not know why this was so important. She just knew it was. "Please," Victoria said. That word felt strange in her mouth. She was not used to saying please to the hotel staff. She was used to giving orders. Maya looked at her for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. I finish at 6 o'clock. Meet me in the small conference room on the second floor. Room 201, 6:15. Victoria turned to walk away, then stopped. And bring your violin. She walked out of the restaurant before Maya could say anything else. Her heart was beating fast. Her hands were shaking. She felt like she had just done something dangerous. Something that might change everything, but she did not understand why. Victoria went back upstairs to the private dining room. The break was over. The investors were sitting at the table again. Her father looked at his watch when she walked in. "You're late," he said. "I'm sorry," Victoria said. She sat down in her chair. She tried to focus on the meeting. Her father talked about marketing strategies. One of the investors talked about social media campaigns. Another one talked about influencer partnerships. But Victoria's mind was somewhere else. She kept hearing that violin. She kept seeing Maya's face, her eyes closed, lost in the music. Victoria had not thought about her own music in 8 years. She had locked her piano and never opened it again. She told herself it was better this way, practical, smart. But now something was cracking. Some wall she had built inside herself was starting to develop cracks. The meeting finally ended at 5:30. Victoria's father walked her to the elevator. "You seem distracted today," he said. His voice was not kind. It was an observation. A criticism. "I'm tired," Victoria said. "You can rest after the Henderson merger is finalized. That's your priority right now. I need you focused." He pressed the button for the elevator. "The family is depending on you, Victoria. Don't forget that." The elevator doors opened. Victoria stepped inside. "I won't forget," she said. But as the doors closed, she wondered if that was true. For the first time in 8 years, she was thinking about something other than mergers and profit margins and family obligations. She was thinking about music, and about a young waitress who played like her heart was breaking, and about the person Victoria used to be before she became just another Ashworth. Victoria sat in conference room 201 at 6 o'clock. The room was small and plain. It had a table, 6 chairs, and a whiteboard on the wall. This was where the hotel managers held their morning meetings. It was not fancy like the other rooms in the hotel, but Victoria liked it. It was quiet. Nobody would bother her here. She had changed out of her business suit. Now she wore jeans and a simple blue sweater. She almost never wore jeans. Her father said that Ashworth should always dress professionally. But tonight she did not want to be Victoria Ashworth Hotel Heiress. She wanted to be just Victoria. Just a person. She looked at her watch. 6:12. Maya would be here soon. Maybe. Victoria was not sure if Maya would actually come. Maybe she thought it was a trap. Maybe she thought she was in trouble. Victoria's hands felt cold. She rubbed them together. She was nervous. Why was she nervous? She had run business meetings with millionaires. She had given speeches to hundreds of people, but the thought of talking to this young waitress made her stomach feel tight. There was a soft knock on the door. "Come in," Victoria said. The door opened. Maya walked in. She had changed out of her work uniform. She wore jeans and a green sweater that looked old and worn. Her hair was down now, falling around her shoulders. She looked younger like this, maybe 23 or 24 years old. She carried a black violin case in her hand. She held it carefully like it might break. "Hi," Maya said. She stood in the doorway looking unsure. Should I close the door?" "Yes, please," Victoria said. She stood up. "Thank you for coming." "I wasn't sure you would." Maya closed the door and walked further into the room. She sat down in a chair across from Victoria, putting the violin case on the table between them. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They just looked at each other. Victoria noticed that Maya's eyes were dark brown, almost black. There were tired lines around them. This was someone who worked hard. Someone who did not get enough sleep. "I'm not in trouble, am I?" Maya asked finally. "For playing earlier?" "I know it was probably against the rules." "No," Victoria said quickly. "No, you're not in trouble. I wanted to talk to you." "About what?" Victoria took a breath. This was harder than she thought it would be. "How do you explain something you don't fully understand yourself?" "Your playing was beautiful," Victoria said. "That piece by Sarah Sade is very difficult. Most professional musicians struggle with it." But you played it perfectly. Maya's cheeks turned pink. Thank you. But it wasn't perfect. I made mistakes in the third section. And my vibrato was too wide in some places. Victoria smiled a little. You noticed that? I always notice my mistakes, Maya said. That's how you get better. You have to hear what's wrong so you can fix it. Who taught you that? Maya shrugged. Different teachers over the years. But mostly I taught myself. I listen to recordings. I watch videos. I practice every day when I can. Where do you practice? In the storage room in the basement. After my shift. The manager lets me stay as long as I want. Nobody uses that room at night. Victoria felt something twist in her chest. This young woman practiced violin in a basement storage room after working long shifts as a waitress. And she played better than people who had studied at expensive schools. Why did you become a waitress? Victoria asked. With your talent, you could be studying music somewhere. Maybe at a conservatory. Maya's face changed. Something sad crossed her eyes. Conservatory costs money, she said quietly. Money I don't have. There are scholarships. I applied to 3 conservatories 2 years ago, Maya interrupted. I got into all of them, but the scholarships didn't cover everything. I would still need money for housing, food, books, and my family needed me to work. She looked down at her hands. My brother got sick. He needed treatments. Expensive treatments. Someone had to pay for them. What about your parents? My mom died when I was 17. My dad works at a factory, but he doesn't make much. It's just us trying to take care of my brother. Maya's voice was flat now, like she was telling a story that happened to someone else. I'm the oldest. It's my job to help. Victoria did not know what to say. Her own life felt so different from Maya's. Victoria had never worried about money. She had never had to choose between her dreams and her family's survival. The biggest choice she had ever made was, I went to Juilliard, Victoria heard herself say. Maya's head snapped up. What, Juilliard? The music school in New York. I studied piano there. I got a full scholarship when I was 18. The words kept coming out. Victoria had not talked about this in years. I was there for 1 semester. 4 months. Then I left. Why? Maya's voice was barely a whisper. Victoria stood up. She walked to the window. Outside, the city lights were starting to come on. The sky was turning dark blue. My father made me leave, she said. He said the family business needed me more than the world needed another pianist. He said music was a hobby, not a career. He said I had responsibilities to the family. But you could have said no, Maya said. You could have stayed. Victoria laughed, but it was not a happy sound. I was 18 years old. My father controlled my trust fund. He said if I stayed at Juilliard, he would cut me off completely. No money, no family, nothing. So you chose money over music. The words hurt, but they were true. Victoria turned around to face Maya. I chose safety over uncertainty, Victoria said. I told myself I was being practical, smart. That music was just a childish dream. That real life meant business and money and responsibility. She paused. I was wrong. Maya stood up too. She walked over to stand next to Victoria at the window. Do you still play? Maya asked. No, I locked my piano 8 years ago. I haven't touched it since. Why not? Because it hurts too much, Victoria said. The words came out raw and honest. Every time I walked past that piano, I remembered who I used to be, who I could have been. It was easier to just lock it away and pretend that part of me never existed. They stood in silence for a moment, 2 women from completely different worlds but somehow connected by the same pain, the pain of dreams that died, the pain of music that lived inside them but had nowhere to go. Can I ask you something? Maya said. Yes. Why did you want to talk to me? Why does any of this matter to you? Victoria turned to look at Maya, really look at her. This young woman who worked double shifts and practiced in storage rooms and played with more passion than most professionals. This young woman who had not given up even though life had given her every reason to. Because when I heard you play today, I remembered something, Victoria said. I remembered what it feels like to love music more than anything else in the world. I remembered the person I used to be before I became just another Ashworth. And I realized... She stopped, took a breath. I realized I want that back. I want to feel that way again. Maya's eyes were wide. So what do you want me to do? I don't know yet, Victoria admitted. But I think maybe we can help each other. Help each other how? Victoria walked back to the table. She sat down. Maya followed and sat across from her again. You need money to study music, Victoria said. I need to remember how to be myself again, how to be more than just my father's daughter. I don't understand. What if we played together? The idea was forming in Victoria's mind even as she spoke. What if I taught you some things and you reminded me how to play again? What if we practiced together? Maya looked confused. Why would you do that? Why would someone like you want to practice with someone like me? Someone like you? Victoria repeated. Maya, you're one of the most talented musicians I've ever heard. And I've heard a lot of musicians. The only difference between you and the people who study at Juilliard is that they had money and you didn't. But talent, you have more talent in your little finger than most of them have in their whole body. Maya's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back quickly. Nobody has ever said something like that to me before, she said quietly. Then people are blind, Victoria said. Or deaf, or both. Maya laughed a little. Then she got serious again. But your father, she said. Won't he be angry if you start playing again? Probably, Victoria said. But I'm 28 years old. I'm tired of living my life based on what my father wants. I'm tired of being afraid. What about me? I work here. Your father could fire me if he found out. Victoria thought about that. Maya was right. Her father could fire her. He could make things difficult. Richard Ashworth was not a kind man when people did things he did not like. We'll be careful, Victoria said. We'll practice late at night when nobody is around. We'll keep it secret. Secret piano and violin practice sessions with the Hotel Heiress, Maya said. This sounds like something from a movie. Maybe it is, Victoria said. But right now it's the only thing that makes sense to me. Maya looked at her violin case on the table. She reached out and ran her fingers over the scratched black surface. This violin was my mother's, she said softly. It's not expensive. It's not even in very good condition. But when I play it, I feel close to her. I feel like I'm doing something that matters. Music always matters, Victoria said, but it doesn't pay the bills. What if it could? What if we got good enough to perform somewhere? We could make money. Real money. Maya shook her head. Nobody would pay to hear a Waitress and a Hotel Heiress play music together. Why not? Because that's not how the world works. Rich people pay to hear other rich people play, or they pay to hear famous people. They don't pay to hear regular people like me. What if we proved them wrong? Victoria said. The idea was getting bigger in her mind now, more real. What if we showed everyone that talent doesn't care about money or family names? That music is for everyone, not just the wealthy? Maya stared at her. You're serious about this? I think I am, Victoria said. I haven't been serious about anything in 8 years. But this feels right. Maya was quiet for a long time. Victoria watched her face. She could see Maya thinking, considering, weighing the possibilities against the risks. My brother's treatments cost $2,000 a month, Maya said finally. I make just enough to cover them, but barely. If I lose this job, he doesn't get his treatments. If I get in trouble, he suffers. I understand, Victoria said. Do you? Maya's voice was suddenly sharp. Do you really understand what it's like to worry about money every single day? To have to choose between buying medicine and buying food? To work until your feet bleed because you can't afford to take a day off? Victoria felt her face get hot. No, she admitted. I don't understand that. I've never had to worry about money. I've never had to make those kinds of choices. Then how can you help me? Maya asked. We're from completely different worlds, Victoria. You have everything. I have nothing. How can we possibly help each other? Victoria thought about that question. Maya was right. Their lives were so different. But maybe that was the point. You have something I don't have, Victoria said slowly. You have courage. You have determination. You kept playing music even when life tried to take it away from you. You didn't give up, I did. I gave up the first time things got hard. I let my father control my life because I was scared. But you're not scared. Or if you are, you play anyway. Maya's expression softened a little. And I have something you need, Victoria continued. I have money. I have connections. I have resources. Maybe we can use those things to help both of us get what we want. What do you want? Maya asked. Victoria thought about that. What did she want? She had spent so many years not wanting anything, not letting herself want anything that the question felt strange. I want to feel alive again, she said finally. I want to wake up in the morning and have something to look forward to besides business meetings and fake smiles. I want to play music and feel something real. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, let's try it. Let's practice together. But we have to be smart about it. We can't let anyone find out, especially not your father. Victoria felt something like hope bloom in her chest. When can we start? Maya smiled. It was the first real smile Victoria had seen on her face. Tonight? Maya suggested. After the hotel gets quiet? Maybe around midnight? Where? Maya thought for a moment. There's an old ballroom on the 3rd floor. Nobody uses it anymore. It's been closed for renovations for like 6 months, but nobody is actually working on it. There's a piano in there. Victoria remembered that ballroom. It used to be beautiful. Now it was covered in dust sheets and forgotten. Perfect, she said. Midnight. The old ballroom. They sat there for another moment, just looking at each other. 2 women who had nothing in common except music. 2 women who had just agreed to do something that might change everything. Maya stood up and picked up her violin case. I should go, she said. My brother will be wondering where I am. Maya, Victoria said. Maya turned back. Thank you, Victoria said, for giving me a chance. Maya smiled again. Thank you for seeing me as more than just a waitress. After Maya left, Victoria sat alone in the conference room for a long time. Her phone buzzed with messages. Caroline reminding her about tomorrow's schedule. Her father asking where she was. A business partner wanting to discuss the Henderson merger. But for the first time in 8 years, Victoria did not care about any of that. She was thinking about midnight. About music. About a dusty ballroom and a second chance at the life she should have lived. She was thinking about becoming herself again. Victoria stood outside the old ballroom at 11:55 that night. Her heart was beating fast. She felt like a teenager sneaking out of the house. She was 38 years old and she owned part of this hotel, but she still looked over her shoulder to make sure nobody saw her. The hallway was dark and quiet. Most of the hotel guests were asleep. The 3rd floor was the oldest part of the building. Her grandfather had built this section 50 years ago. The old ballroom had been beautiful once. Now it was just a forgotten room full of old furniture and memories. Victoria tried the door. It was unlocked. She pushed it open slowly. The hinges creaked. The sound was loud in the quiet hallway. Inside, the ballroom was dark. Victoria found a light switch on the wall. The lights flickered on. Several bulbs were burned out, so the room was only half lit. Shadows filled the corners. Dust sheets covered the furniture. They looked like ghosts in the dim light. The wooden floor was scratched and dirty. Cobwebs hung from the chandelier in the center of the ceiling. The chandelier had no bulbs in it anymore. It was just crystal and metal gathering dust. But in the corner of the room, Victoria saw the piano. It was covered with a white sheet. Victoria walked over to it slowly. Her footsteps echoed in the empty room. She reached out and pulled the sheet off. Dust flew into the air. Victoria coughed and waved it away. The piano was old. It was a grand piano, but not as big as the ones in the concert halls. The black paint was faded. Some of the keys were yellowed with age, but when Victoria touched the wood, she felt something move inside her chest. She had not touched a piano in 8 years. 8 years of pretending she did not miss it. 8 years of walking past music stores without looking in the windows. 8 years of turning off the radio when classical music came on because it hurt too much to listen. Now here she was, standing in front of this old forgotten piano in a dusty ballroom at midnight. And for the first time in 8 years, she wanted to play. Victoria lifted the keyboard cover. The keys were dusty too. She wiped them with her sleeve. Then she sat down on the bench. The bench was too low. She adjusted it higher. Her hands hovered over the keys. They were shaking. What if she had forgotten how to play? What if 8 years was too long? What if her fingers did not remember? There was a soft knock on the door. Victoria looked up. Maya stood in the doorway. She wore sweatpants and an old t-shirt. Her hair was in a messy bun. She carried her violin case and a bag over her shoulder. Hi, Maya said. I brought coffee. I thought we might need it. She held up 2 paper cups with steam coming out of the tops. Victoria smiled. Thank you. I definitely need it. Maya came in and closed the door behind her. She looked around the ballroom. Wow, she said. This place is like something from a movie. An old forgotten ballroom where nobody comes anymore. My grandfather built this room, Victoria said. He used to have big parties here. Hundreds of people, dancing and music and champagne. My grandmother loved it. What happened? They died. And my father didn't like parties. He said they were a waste of money. So he closed this room and forgot about it. Victoria looked around at the dusty shadows. Everything my grandfather built, my father turned into just business and numbers. Maya walked over and handed Victoria one of the coffee cups. Then she sat down on a covered chair near the piano. She put her violin case on her lap. So, Maya said, "What do we do first?" Victoria took a sip of coffee. It was hot and strong, exactly what she needed. "I don't know," she admitted. "I haven't done this in so long. I'm scared." "Of what?" "That I've forgotten how. That I'm not good anymore," Maya smiled. "You don't forget music. It's always inside you. You just have to let it out again." "Is that what you tell yourself when you're scared?" "All the time," Maya said. "Every time I play in public, I'm terrified. I think maybe this will be the time I mess up completely. But then I start playing and the fear goes away." Victoria set down her coffee cup. She turned back to the piano. Her hands were still shaking, but she put them on the keys anyway. She pressed one key, middle C. The note rang out in the quiet room. It was slightly out of tune, but it was still beautiful. She pressed another key. Then another. Simple notes. Nothing fancy. Just touching the piano again after so long. "What piece are you thinking about?" Maya asked quietly. "I don't know. Something easy. Something I used to know by heart. Play whatever feels right." Victoria closed her eyes. She let her fingers move. They found the beginning of a piece she had learned when she was 15 years old. Clair de Lune by Debussy. It was a piece about moonlight, about beauty and sadness mixed together. Her fingers were stiff at first. She hit wrong notes. The timing was off, but she kept playing, and slowly, very slowly, the music started to come back. It was like waking up from a long sleep. Her hands remembered things her brain had forgotten. The feeling of the keys under her fingers, the way you had to lean into some notes and pull back from others, the rhythm that lived in your bones, not in your mind. Victoria played for maybe 2 minutes. Then she stopped. She opened her eyes. Tears were running down her face. "That was beautiful," Maya said softly. "It was terrible," Victoria said, wiping her eyes. "I made so many mistakes, but you felt it." "I could hear that you felt it." Victoria laughed through her tears. "I haven't cried in years. My father says crying is weak. Your father is wrong about a lot of things." Victoria turned to look at Maya. The young woman was opening her violin case. She took out her violin and bow. The violin looked old and worn, but Maya held it like it was made of gold. "Will you play something?" Victoria asked. "What do you want to hear?" "Something that makes you happy." Maya thought for a moment. Then she stood up and positioned her violin under her chin. She started to play. The music was different from what Victoria had played. It was fast and joyful. It sounded like dancing, like laughter, like sunshine breaking through clouds. Victoria watched Maya's face. Her eyes were closed again. She swayed with the music. Her bow moved across the string so fast it was almost a blur. This was not the sad, beautiful piece Maya had played in the restaurant. This was pure joy turned into sound. When Maya finished, Victoria was smiling. "What was that?" Victoria asked. "A gypsy folk song. My mother used to play it. She said it was music for celebrating, for being alive." "It's perfect," Victoria said. "Will you teach it to me? Maybe we could arrange it for piano and violin together." Maya's face lit up. "Really, you want to play together? That's why we're here, isn't it?" For the next 2 hours they worked. Maya taught Victoria the melody of the folk song. Victoria was rusty, but her fingers slowly remembered how to move. Maya was patient. She played the sections over and over until Victoria could copy them. Then they tried playing together. The first few times were a disaster. Victoria's timing was off. She came in too early or too late. But they kept trying, and slowly it started to work. The piano and violin found each other. They wove together like two voices in a conversation. Sometimes they played the same melody. Sometimes they split apart and created harmony. It was not perfect, but it was real. At 2:30 in the morning, they finally stopped. Victoria's fingers hurt. Maya's shoulder hurt from holding the violin. But they were both smiling. "We did it," Maya said. We actually played together. It needs work, Victoria said. A lot of work. But it's a start. Victoria looked at the young woman standing across from her. In just one night, something had changed. They were not Heiress and Waitress anymore. They were musicians, partners. Same time tomorrow night? Victoria asked. Maya nodded. I'll be here. Over the next 3 weeks, they met every night at midnight. Sometimes they practiced for 1 hour.
Sometimes for 3.
They worked on the gypsy folk song until they could play it without mistakes. Then they started learning other pieces. Victoria taught Maya about classical music theory, about how harmonies worked, about structure and composition. Maya taught Victoria about feeling the music instead of just playing the notes. About passion and emotion. They became friends. They talked about their lives. Maya told stories about her brother, who was 12 years old and loved to draw. About her father, who worked 16-hour days at a factory but still came home and made dinner every night. About her mother, who had died in a car accident when Maya was 17. Victoria told Maya about growing up rich but lonely. About her mother, who took pills to forget how unhappy she was. About her father, who cared more about money than people. About the girl she used to be at Juilliard, full of dreams and hope. But they did not just talk. Mostly they played music. Victoria's fingers got stronger. The stiffness went away. She started playing pieces she had not touched in years. Chopin, Mozart, Rachmaninoff. Each piece brought back memories, some good, some painful, but all of them real. Maya grew as a musician too. Victoria taught her things that volunteer teachers at the community center could never teach. About tone quality, about phrasing, about how to make the violin sing instead of just make sounds. One night, Victoria brought her laptop to the ballroom. She showed Maya recordings of famous violinists. Itzhak Perlman, Anna-Sophie Mutter, Hilary Hahn. You're as good as them, Victoria said. You just need training and opportunity. They had both, Maya said. I have neither. Not yet, Victoria said. But maybe we can change that. An idea had been growing in Victoria's mind. She had not said anything yet because she was not sure if it was crazy or brilliant. But tonight, with Maya sitting next to her in the dusty ballroom, she decided to say it out loud. What if we performed? Victoria said. Maya looked at her. What? What if we actually performed somewhere in public? For real? Who would want to hear us? I don't know yet. But there's a charity gala coming up in 3 months. It's the biggest event my family does every year. Hundreds of people. All the richest families in the city. They always have live music. Maya's eyes got wide. You want us to play at your family's gala? Why not? Because your father would never allow it. Because I'm a waitress. Because it's crazy. Exactly, Victoria said. It's crazy. But that's what makes it perfect. Everyone expects the same boring chamber music they hear every year. What if we gave them something different? Something real? Maya shook her head. Your father would fire me. He might fire you too if that's possible. He won't fire me. I own 20% of the company. My grandfather left it to me in his will. Victoria paused. But you're right. He might fire you. So we'll keep it secret until the last minute. We'll practice until we're perfect. And then, on the night of the gala, we'll just do it. Just do it, Maya repeated. Just walk onto the stage at the biggest event of the year and hope it works out? Yes. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Victoria could see her thinking, considering, weighing the risks. What if we fail? Maya asked finally. What if we get up there and mess up completely? Then we fail, Victoria said. But at least we tried. At least we didn't spend the rest of our lives wondering what if. Maya looked at her violin. Then she looked back at Victoria. You're really serious about this? I'm serious. Why? Why do you care so much? You could just keep your safe life. Keep making your father happy. Why risk everything for this? Victoria thought about that question. It was the same question she had been asking herself for 3 weeks. Because for the first time in 8 years I feel alive, she said. I wake up every day excited to come here. Excited to play. Excited to see what we can create together. I'm not just going through the motions anymore. I'm actually living. Maya smiled. I feel that way too. So let's do it. Let's be brave. Let's show everyone that music doesn't belong to just rich people who studied at fancy schools. Let's show them that talent and passion matter more than money. Maya took a deep breath. Then she held out her hand. Okay, she said. Let's do it. Victoria shook her hand. They both laughed. It was a nervous laugh, an excited laugh. The laugh of people who had just agreed to do something that might change everything. But they did not know that someone had been watching them. Someone who had noticed Victoria sneaking out at midnight. Someone who had followed her to the old ballroom and listened at the door. Someone who would tell Richard Ashworth exactly what his daughter was doing, and that would change everything even faster than they planned. Victoria was in a business meeting when her phone rang. She looked at the screen. It was her father. She sent it to voicemail. He would be angry, but he was always angry about something. The meeting was with the Henderson family. They owned a chain of restaurants. Victoria's father wanted to put Henderson restaurants in every Ashworth hotel. It was a big deal, worth millions of dollars. Victoria was supposed to be paying attention. She was supposed to be taking notes and asking smart questions, but her mind was somewhere else. She was thinking about the piece she and Maya were working on, a duet they had written together. Part classical, part folk music, something new and different. Her phone rang again. Her father. Again. Mr. Henderson stopped talking and looked at her phone. "Do you need to take that?" he asked. "No," Victoria said quickly. "I'm sorry. I'll turn it off." But before she could, the conference room door opened. Richard Ashworth walked in. His face was red. His jaw was tight. Victoria knew that look. It meant trouble. "Excuse me," her father said to Mr. Henderson. "I need to speak with my daughter, now." "We're in the middle of a meeting," Victoria said. "Now," her father repeated. Mr. Henderson looked uncomfortable. "We can take a break," he said. "I need to make some calls anyway." He left the room. Richard Ashworth closed the door behind him. Then he turned to Victoria. His eyes were cold. "When were you going to tell me?" he asked. "Tell you what?" "Don't play games with me, Victoria." "I know what you've been doing. I know about the midnight meetings. I know about the music." Victoria's stomach dropped. Someone had told him. Someone had seen them. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, but her voice was weak. Her father pulled out his phone. He showed her a video. It was dark and grainy, but Victoria could see herself and Maya in the old ballroom. She could hear them playing. "The video was from last night. Who sent you this?" Victoria asked. "It doesn't matter. What matters is that you've been lying to me."
Sneaking around.
"Playing music again after I specifically told you that part of your life was over. You told me that 8 years ago. I was 18 then. I'm 28 now. I can make my own decisions." Her father laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "You think so? You think because you're older now you can just do whatever you want? You're still an Ashworth. You still have responsibilities. I'm fulfilling my responsibilities. I go to all the meetings. I do all the work you ask me to do. And then you sneak off at midnight to play piano with a waitress." Her father's voice was full of disgust when he said the word waitress. "Do you know how embarrassing this is? The Ashworth heiress playing music with the hired help like some kind of charity project. She's not a charity project. She's more talented than anyone I knew at Juilliard. She's a waitress, Victoria. She serves food to rich people. That's all she is." "No," Victoria said. Her voice was getting louder. "She's a musician. A real musician. Not someone who plays at being cultured because it looks good for business. She plays because she loves it. Because she has to. Because music is part of who she is." "This is exactly what I was afraid of," her father said. "This is why I pulled you out of Juilliard. Music makes you emotional, irrational. It makes you forget who you are and what you owe to this family." "What I owe to this family?" Victoria stood up. "I've given this family 8 years of my life. 8 years of doing everything you asked. 8 years of pretending to be someone I'm not. When is it enough?" "It's never enough," her father said. "That's what it means to be an Ashworth. We sacrifice our personal desires for the good of the family business. That's our duty. Your duty, not mine." Her father's face got even redder. "You're being childish. Again, just like when you were 18 and thought you could be a famous pianist." "I never wanted to be famous. I just wanted to play. And I gave you years of expensive lessons. I paid for the best teachers. I bought you a concert grand piano. Wasn't that enough?" "No," Victoria said quietly. "Because you never understood. You thought music was just another thing you could buy, another way to show how wealthy we are. But music isn't about money. It's about feeling something real." Her father was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was dangerous. Low and controlled. "I'm going to say this once," he said. "You will stop these midnight practice sessions immediately. You will never speak to that waitress again unless she's serving you food, and you will focus on your work. If you don't, there will be consequences." "What kind of consequences?" "The waitress will be fired. She'll never work in this city again. I'll make sure of it." Victoria felt like she had been punched in the stomach. "You can't do that. She needs this job. Her brother needs medical treatments. If she loses this job, then she should have thought about that before she got involved with you," her father interrupted. "This is your choice, Victoria. The family business or your little musical fantasy. But you can't have both." He walked to the door. Then he turned back. "Mr. Henderson is waiting," he said. "Fix your makeup. You look like you've been crying. And for God's sake, smile. We need this deal." He left. The door closed behind him. Victoria stood alone in the conference room. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. She picked up her phone. She had to warn Maya. She had to tell her what was happening. But before she could make the call, there was a knock on the door. Mr. Henderson came back in. "Everything okay?" he asked. "No," Victoria wanted to say. "Nothing is okay. My father just threatened to ruin someone's life to control me. I'm trapped in a life I hate and I don't know how to get out." But instead she smiled. "Everything's fine. Where were we?" That night, Victoria went to the ballroom at midnight. She did not know if Maya would be there. She did not know if her father had already fired her. But she had to try. Maya was there. She was sitting at the piano bench, but she was not playing. She just sat with her hands in her lap, looking at the keys. "You know," Maya said when Victoria walked in. She did not turn around. "Your father came to see me today." Victoria's heart sank. "What did he say?" "He said I was fired, that I should pack my things and leave immediately." Maya's voice was flat, empty. "But then he said he would give me a choice. I could keep my job and never speak to you again, or I could continue our practice sessions and be fired." "Maya, I'm so sorry. I didn't know he would. He also said if I'm fired, he'll make sure no hotel or restaurant in the city will hire me." Maya finally turned around. Her eyes were red from crying. "My brother needs his treatments, Victoria. I can't lose this job." Victoria walked over and sat down next to Maya on the bench. "We'll figure something out. I'll pay for your brother's treatments." "No," Maya said firmly. "I don't want your charity." "I never did. It's not charity. What is it then? You said we were partners, equals, but we're not, are we? You're rich and I'm poor. Your father can destroy my life with one phone call. Where's the equality in that?" Victoria did not know what to say. Maya was right. They were not equals. Victoria had been fooling herself, so what do we do? Victoria asked quietly. Maya stood up. She walked to the window. Outside, the city lights sparkled in the dark. "I don't know," she said. "I want to keep playing. I want to perform at that gala and show everyone what we can do, but I can't risk my brother's health. I can't be selfish like that. It's not selfish to want your dreams." "Yes, it is," Maya said. "When other people depend on you, it is." They stood in silence. The ballroom felt colder now. The magic they had created here over the past weeks felt like it was dying. "Maybe your father is right," Maya said. "Maybe we're from different worlds. Maybe this was always impossible." "Don't say that. Why not?" "It's true." Maya turned to face Victoria. "You risked nothing by playing with me. If this all falls apart, you still have your money and your family and your life. But I risked everything. And now I'm going to lose it all." "We can still find a way," Victoria said desperately. "We can—" "Stop," Maya interrupted. "Just stop. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of hoping. Your father wins. That's how it always works. Rich people always win." Maya picked up her violin case. She walked toward the door. "Maya, wait," Victoria said. Maya stopped but did not turn around. "I'm sorry," Victoria said. "For everything. For dragging you into my problems. For making you think we could change anything." "Me too," Maya said quietly. Then she left. Victoria sat alone in the ballroom for a long time. The piano sat silently beside her. All the magic was gone. All the hope was gone. She had failed. She had tried to be brave, tried to change her life, tried to help someone, and she had failed. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from her father. "Good, you're learning. Henderson meeting at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late." Victoria wanted to throw her phone across the room. She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. But Ashworth did not cry. Instead, she stood up and walked out of the ballroom. She closed the door behind her and did not look back. For the next week, Victoria did what her father wanted. She went to meetings. She smiled at investors. She worked on the Henderson deal. She acted like nothing had changed. But inside, something was breaking. She saw Maya sometimes in the hotel. Maya was still working there. She had made her choice. Her brother's health came first. Victoria understood. She respected it. But it hurt to see Maya carrying trays and smiling at guests and pretending they did not know each other. One afternoon, Victoria was walking past the kitchen when she heard voices arguing. She stopped to listen. "I don't care what Mr. Ashworth said. It was Mrs. Patterson, the head of housekeeping. That girl is the best worker we have, and what he's doing to her is wrong. Keep your voice down," another voice said. "If he hears you talking like that—" "I've worked here for 30 years, Mrs. Patterson interrupted. "I've seen him destroy people before. I won't be quiet about it anymore." Victoria pushed open the door to the kitchen. Mrs. Patterson and 2 other staff members were standing by the stove. They all turned when she walked in. They looked scared. "Ms. Ashworth," Mrs. Patterson said. I heard," Victoria said. "You're right. What my father is doing is wrong." Mrs. Patterson blinked in surprise. "Ma'am?" Victoria looked at the 3 people standing in front of her. They had worked at this hotel for years. They knew her father. They knew how he treated people. "Can I ask you something?" Victoria said. "All of you, do you know about the midnight practice sessions? Me and Maya in the old ballroom?" They looked at each other. Finally, Mrs. Patterson nodded. "We all knew," she said. "A lot of the staff knew. We kept it secret." "Why?" Victoria asked. "Because it was nice," said one of the other women, a housekeeper named Rosa. "We could hear the music sometimes late at night. It was beautiful. It made the hotel feel, I don't know, alive again. And because we like Maya," Mrs. Patterson added. "She works hard. She never complains. She deserves better than serving food her whole life." An idea started forming in Victoria's mind. A crazy idea. Maybe an impossible idea. But maybe not. "What if I told you I want to help her?" Victoria said. "What if I told you I want to do the right thing, but I need help? Would you help me?" Mrs. Patterson smiled. "What do you need?" Victoria took a deep breath. "I need to talk to everyone who works here. Everyone who knew about the music. Everyone who wants to see something change. Can you arrange that?" "When?" "Tonight. After the hotel gets quiet." Mrs. Patterson nodded. "Where?" "The old ballroom," Victoria said. "Where else?" That night, Victoria returned to the ballroom at midnight. But this time she was not alone. 20 staff members came with her. Housekeepers and waiters and concierges and cooks. People who had worked at the Ashworth Grand for years. People who had watched Richard Ashworth control and intimidate and threaten people. People who were tired of staying quiet. Maya was there too. Mrs. Patterson had convinced her to come, though she did not know why. Victoria stood in front of everyone. Her heart was pounding.
She had never been good at speeches.
But tonight she had something to say. "Thank you all for coming," she began. "I know this is strange. I know you're probably wondering what this is about." Everyone waited. "My father thinks he can control everything and everyone," Victoria continued. "He thinks money and threats are enough to make people do what he wants. And for a long time he was right. I did everything he said. I gave up my dreams because he told me to. I became the person he wanted me to be." She paused. "But then I met Maya, and she reminded me of something I had forgotten. She reminded me that some things matter more than money, more than fear, more than what other people think." Victoria looked at Maya. "My father threatened to fire you if you kept playing music with me. He threatened to ruin your life. And I let that stop us. I let him win again." "Victoria," Maya started, but Victoria held up her hand. "But I'm done letting him win," Victoria said. "I'm done being afraid, and I'm done standing by while he treats people like they don't matter." She turned back to face everyone. "In 3 weeks, there's a charity gala. The biggest event my family does every year. And I want to perform at it. Me and Maya. I want to play our music in front of everyone. I want to show my father and everyone else that talent matters more than money. That dreams matter. That people matter. Your father will never allow it, one of the waiters said. I know, Victoria said. That's why I need your help. The night of the charity gala arrived. The Ashworth Grand Hotel looked like a palace. Every chandelier sparkled. Every floor shined. Flowers filled the lobby. Hundreds of them. White roses and orchids that cost more than most people made in a month. Rich people arrived in expensive cars. The women wore gowns that cost thousands of dollars. The men wore perfect suits. They walked up the red carpet into the grand ballroom like they owned the world. In a way, they did. Victoria stood in the private room next to the ballroom. She wore a silver dress her mother had picked out. It was beautiful but uncomfortable. Everything about tonight was uncomfortable. Her father had checked on her 3 times already. He wanted to make sure she looked perfect, that she smiled at the right people, that she represented the Ashworth family properly. This is our biggest night of the year, he had said during his last visit. The governor is coming. 2 senators. The mayor. Everyone important will be here. I need you focused. I'm always focused, Victoria had said. Now she stood alone in the small room, looking at herself in the mirror. Her heart was beating so fast she thought everyone must be able to hear it. In 30 minutes, everything would change. One way or another. There was a knock on the door. Come in, Victoria said. Caroline, her assistant, poked her head in. The guests are all seated. Your father wants you to come greet the governor before dinner starts. Tell him I'll be there in 5 minutes. Caroline left. Victoria took a deep breath. Then she picked up her phone and sent a text to a number she had memorized. It's time. The ballroom was full. 400 people sat at round tables covered in white tablecloths. The food was expensive, French and fancy. The wine cost more per bottle than Maya made in a week of work. Victoria walked through the room with her father. They stopped at each important table. Her father introduced her to senators and business owners and old money families. Victoria smiled and shook hands and said all the right things, but her mind was somewhere else. At the front of the ballroom was a small stage. A string quartet sat there with their instruments. They were professionals from the city orchestra. They were supposed to play during dinner. Classical music. Background noise for rich people who did not really listen. Victoria saw Maya across the room. She was working tonight, serving food to the wealthy guests, smiling even though Victoria knew she must be terrified. Their eyes met for just a second. Maya gave a tiny nod. Everything was ready. Dinner started. The quartet played Vivaldi. People ate and talked and laughed. They did not pay attention to the music. They never did. Music was just something that happened while they discussed business deals and vacation homes. Victoria barely touched her food. She sat at the head table next to her father. Her mother was on her father's other side, looking beautiful and distant. Her mother always looked distant. The pills she took made her that way. You're not eating, her father said quietly. I'm not hungry. You need to eat. People are watching. Victoria picked up her fork. She moved food around on her plate. She did not eat it. The dinner ended. Waiters came and took away the plates. Her father stood up. He walked to the stage. The quartet stopped playing. Good evening, everyone. Her father's voice boomed through the microphone. Thank you all for being here tonight. The Ashworth Foundation has raised over $2 million this year for children's hospitals. Your generosity makes this possible. Everyone clapped. Richard Ashworth smiled. He loved nights like this. Nights when everyone looked at him and saw success and power. Now, he continued, we have some wonderful entertainment for you this evening. The City String Quartet will perform selections from Mozart and Beethoven. The quartet stood up. They prepared their instruments. This was the moment. This was when everything would change or fall apart completely. Victoria stood up. Her legs felt weak. She walked toward the stage. People started to notice. They whispered to each other. Why was Victoria Ashworth walking to the stage? Her father saw her. His eyes got wide. Then angry. He knew something was wrong. But before he could stop her, Victoria was on the stage. She took the microphone from his hand. Actually, she said, her voice shaking, there's been a change in the program. The ballroom got very quiet. 400 people stared at her. Her father stood next to her, his face red with anger. Victoria, what are you doing? He hissed. She ignored him. She looked out at all the wealthy faces staring at her. At all the people who thought they were better than everyone else because they had money. Music is supposed to mean something, Victoria said into the microphone. It's not just background noise. It's not just something to show how cultured we are. Real music comes from the heart, from passion, from people who play because they have to, not because it looks good. Victoria, her father grabbed her arm. Stop this right now. She pulled her arm away. Tonight you're going to hear real music. From real musicians. Not just me. Not just someone born into the right family, but someone who learned to play in community centers. Someone who practices in storage rooms. Someone who has more talent in her little finger than most people have in their whole body. She looked toward the back of the ballroom. Maya stood there in her server uniform, holding her violin case. She looked terrified. Come on, Maya, Victoria said. For a moment, nothing happened. Maya did not move. The whole ballroom held its breath. Then Mrs. Patterson, who was standing near Maya, put her hand on the young woman's shoulder. Other staff members nodded at her. Rosa smiled. The head chef gave her a thumbs up. Maya started walking. Through the tables, past the wealthy guests who stared at her like she was an alien, toward the stage where Victoria waited. Security! Richard Ashworth snapped at someone. Get her out of here. But the security guards did not move. They had been part of the plan, too. They stayed where they were. Maya climbed onto the stage. She stood next to Victoria. Her hands were shaking so hard she almost dropped her violin case. You can do this, Victoria whispered. We can do this. The grand piano sat at the side of the stage. The string quartet had moved away from it, looking confused. Victoria walked over and sat down at the piano bench. Maya opened her violin case and took out her mother's old violin. Victoria's father was still on the stage. He looked at the governor, at the senators, at all the important people. He was embarrassed, furious, but he could not make a scene in front of everyone. Not tonight, not at the biggest event of the year. He walked off the stage, his jaw tight. Victoria and Maya looked at each other. This was it, the moment they had practiced for. The moment that might change everything or ruin everything. Victoria put her hands on the piano keys. Maya lifted her violin, and they began to play. The piece they had written together started softly, almost quiet. The piano played a simple melody, gentle, questioning, like someone asking a question. Then Maya's violin came in. It answered the piano with a melody that sounded like yearning, like wanting something you could not have, like hope mixed with sadness. The ballroom was completely silent now. Everyone watched. Everyone listened. Even the people who never really listened to music. The piece grew louder, more passionate. The piano and violin wove together, creating something beautiful and strange. It was part classical music, part folk music, part something completely new. It was pain and joy mixed together. It was two people from different worlds speaking the same language. Victoria forgot about the 400 people watching. She forgot about her angry father. She forgot about everything except the music. Her fingers moved across the keys like they were meant to be there. Like she had been asleep for 8 years and was finally waking up. Maya played like her heart was on fire. Her eyes were closed. Her whole body moved. The violin sang and cried and soared. It told the story of a girl who worked double shifts and practiced in storage rooms and never gave up on her dreams, even when the world told her to. The music built to a peak. Piano and violin together, loud and powerful and unstoppable. Then it softened again, becoming gentle, becoming quiet, like a question being answered. Like peace after a storm, the final notes hung in the air, then faded, then silence. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The ballroom was frozen. Then one person started clapping. Victoria looked up. It was Mrs. Patterson standing at the back of the room. Then Rosa joined her. Then the head chef. Then other staff members. Then slowly some of the guests started clapping too. The applause grew. It got louder and louder until the whole ballroom was clapping. Some people were standing up. The governor was clapping. One of the senators was wiping tears from her eyes. Victoria looked at Maya. Maya was crying. Happy tears this time. She laughed through her tears. They had done it. They had actually done it. But then Victoria saw her father. He was not clapping. He was standing at the back of the ballroom with his arms crossed. His face was like stone. The applause finally stopped. Victoria stood up from the piano. Maya lowered her violin. They walked to the front of the stage together. Thank you, Victoria said into the microphone. Her voice was stronger now. This is Maya Chen. She works here at the hotel as a waitress. She taught herself to play violin. She practices after her shifts. She has never had formal training at a conservatory, but as you just heard, she has extraordinary talent. People in the audience nodded. They looked at Maya with new eyes. Too often, Victoria continued. Maya's hand flew to her mouth. She looked at Victoria with wide eyes. What? She whispered. I already arranged it, Victoria whispered back. You're going to music school. For real this time? Maya started crying harder. She hugged Victoria right there on the stage in front of everyone. The audience gave them another standing ovation. Victoria saw her mother in the crowd. Her mother was clapping. There were tears on her mother's face. Real tears. Victoria could not remember the last time she had seen her mother cry. Her father, though, looked like he wanted to burn the whole building down. After the performance, people crowded around Victoria and Maya. They wanted to talk, to congratulate them, to shake their hands. The governor told Maya she had a gift. A famous music critic who was at the gala asked if he could write an article about her. But Victoria kept looking for her father. She knew this was not over. She knew there would be consequences. She found him in his office an hour later. He was sitting at his desk in the dark. He did not turn on the lights when she came in. You embarrassed me, he said quietly. You embarrassed this family. You made us look foolish in front of everyone who matters. I made us look human, Victoria said. We're not human to those people. We're Ashworths. We're supposed to be above everyone else. That's what they respect. That's what they fear. I don't want to be feared. Then you're weak. Victoria walked over and sat down in the chair across from his desk. Do you remember what Grandpa used to say about why he built this hotel? Her father did not answer. He said he wanted to create something beautiful, something that made people happy. Not just rich people. All people. He said business without heart was just greed. Your grandfather was a fool, her father said. He died nearly broke. I'm the one who made this company successful. You made it profitable, Victoria said. That's not the same thing. Her father finally looked at her. Really looked at her. What do you want, Victoria? I want to step back from the daily operations. I'll stay on the board. I'll still be involved. But I'm going to focus on the music foundation and on my own music. Your music, her father repeated. He said it like it was a dirty word. Yes, my music. I'm going to perform. I'm going to teach. I'm going to help people like Maya who deserve a chance. And if I say no? Victoria took a deep breath. This was the hard part. The part she had been afraid of for 8 years. Then I'll resign from the company completely. I'll sell my 20% to someone else. And I'll do it anyway. Her father's face went pale. You wouldn't? Yes, I would. I'm done living my life for you. I'm done being afraid. They sat in silence. Victoria could hear her own heartbeat. She waited for her father to explode, to yell, to threaten. But he did something she did not expect. He put his face in his hands, and his shoulders started to shake. Your mother played piano, he said quietly. His voice was thick, strange. Before we married, she was good. Really good. She wanted to be a professional musician. Victoria stared at him. She had never heard this before. I made her give it up, her father continued. I told her that being my wife was enough, that she didn't need music, that it was a waste of time. He looked up at Victoria. His eyes were red. She started taking those pills about a year after we got married. She never said why, but I knew. Victoria did not know what to say. She had never seen her father like this. Vulnerable. Human. When you got into Juilliard, he said, I was terrified. I thought if you went, you'd end up like your mother. Sad. Medicated, broken. I thought I was protecting you by making you stay. You were protecting yourself, Victoria said softly. From your own guilt. Her father nodded slowly. Maybe, probably. He looked at her. I heard the music tonight. You and that girl. It was beautiful. It reminded me of your mother, of the way she used to play before I took it away from her. He stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the city. Do what you want, he said. Step back. Run your foundation. Play your music. I won't stop you. Victoria felt tears in her eyes. Really? Really? But Victoria, Yes? Don't end up like me. Don't spend your whole life running from your regrets. Don't be so afraid of feeling something that you destroy the people you love. Victoria walked over and stood next to him. She put her hand on his arm. He did not pull away. It's not too late, she said. You could change too. I'm 55 years old. I've spent 30 years being this person. I don't know how to be anyone else. Maybe you could learn. Maybe you could talk to Mom. Really talk to her. Maybe you could both start over. Her father was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. Just once, small, but it was something. Maybe, he said. Victoria left his office feeling lighter than she had in 8 years. She did not know if her father would really change. People like him rarely did. But at least he had admitted the truth. At least he had let her go. She found Maya in the kitchen. Maya was sitting at a small table with Mrs. Patterson and Rosa and several other staff members. They were eating leftover food from the gala and laughing about something. When Maya saw Victoria, she jumped up. Is it true? Maya asked. About the scholarship? About Berkeley? It's true. I called them last week. Told them about you. Sent them recordings of your playing. They offered you a full scholarship. Everything paid for, including housing and food and books. Maya started crying again. She hugged Victoria so tight Victoria could barely breathe. I can't believe it, Maya said. I can't believe this is real. Believe it, Victoria said. You earned it. Your talent earned it. But what about my brother? His treatments? The foundation is going to cover those too. As long as he needs them, your family won't have to worry about money anymore. Maya pulled back and looked at Victoria. Why are you doing all this? You barely know me. Because you reminded me of something important, Victoria said. You reminded me that dreams matter, that passion matters, that being true to yourself matters more than being safe or comfortable or what other people expect. You changed my life, Maya said. No, Victoria said. We changed each other's lives. The next few months were busy. Victoria set up the Ashworth Music Foundation properly. She hired staff. She created an application process for scholarships. She reached out to music schools and conservatories. Within 2 months, they had received over 500 applications from talented musicians who could not afford formal training. Victoria read every single one. She cried over many of them. Stories of people who practiced on broken instruments, who taught themselves from library books, who worked 3 jobs to save money for lessons. The foundation gave scholarships to 15 musicians in the first year. Not just money for school, but also instruments, lessons, housing, everything they needed. Maya left for Berkeley in September. Victoria helped her pack. They cried together in Maya's tiny apartment while her father and brother watched with confused expressions. I'll miss you, Maya said. I'll miss you too. But you're going to do amazing things. I know it. Come visit me. Of course. And we'll play together again. Maybe at Carnegie Hall someday. Maya laughed. Dream big. Always. Victoria also started playing again. Really playing. She found a teacher, a retired concert pianist who understood what it meant to come back to music after years away. She practiced every day. Her fingers got stronger. Her technique improved. But more importantly, she remembered how to feel the music, how to let it live through her instead of just playing the notes. 6 months after the gala, Victoria gave her first public performance. It was small, just a recital at a local music school. But she played pieces she had written herself. Pieces about loss and finding yourself again, about friendship and courage. Her mother came to the performance. She sat in the front row. She did not take any pills that day. She wanted to be fully present, fully awake. After the performance, her mother hugged her. I'm proud of you, her mother said, for being brave enough to choose yourself. It's not too late for you too, Mom, Victoria said. Her mother smiled sadly. Maybe not. I've been thinking about getting a piano again, maybe taking some lessons. I'd like that. Victoria's father did not come to the performance, but a week later she found a note on her desk at the hotel. It was in her father's handwriting. I listened to a recording of your recital. You were right. Music with heart is worth more than profit margins. I'm sorry I forgot that. I'm trying to remember. That it was not much, but it was a start. A year after the gala, Victoria and Maya performed together again. This time it was at a real concert hall. Not Carnegie Hall, not yet, but a respected venue that featured emerging artists. They played the piece they had written together, the one they had performed at the gala, but they had improved it, made it longer, more complex, more beautiful. The hall was full, not with wealthy people in expensive clothes, but with regular people, music students, families, people who loved music for what it was, not for what it said about them. In the audience sat Maya's father and brother. Her brother was healthy now. The treatments had worked. He smiled up at his sister with pride. Also in the audience were Mrs. Patterson and Rosa, and the other hotel staff who had helped them. They cheered the loudest when Victoria and Maya took their bows, and in the back row, trying to be invisible, sat Richard Ashworth. He watched his daughter play with an expression